Ready.
Okay, so you don't have to have a pastry cutter. I actually took 2 knives. You can do a fork or whatever. And I cut in about a 1/3 cup of cold butter into 2 1/4 cup of Bisquick mix. And then I finished and made sure that all the cold butter was incorporated into the Bisquick mix with my hands. Oh, and I also added a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda to 2 1/4 cup of Bisquick mix. And then I cut in a 1/3 cup of cold butter, and this is how it should look, basically, when you cut in your butter. And again, this is my recipe for Bisquick biscuits, and the reason why they taste so homemade is because I add in the 1/2 teaspoon of soda and the 1/3 cup of cold butter, so it looks like this. Okay, so once you do that, next you're going to add in 2/3 cup of milk, and that's the same thing basically that the box tells you to do. The only thing I do different from the box is adding in the 1/3 cup of cold butter and a 1/2 teaspoon of soda.
So you add 2/3 cups?
Yes. And that's just like the box tells you. And then you just want to go ahead and mix that together so it's incorporated well. After it's incorporated, I'm going to flour a board, or you can flour your cabinet. And knead this ball of dough just a couple of times. And then roll it out. And cut it out with my biscuit cutter. I have 3 sides. I like probably this one the best. It cuts perfectly, has 2 sides.
Which side do you usually use?
I use actually the kind of serrated side. Either one works though. As you see, it comes together very quickly. This is your biscuit dough. Just adding in that 1/3 cup of cold butter and the baking soda really gives it that homemade biscuit dough taste. I came across it years ago, and I've been doing it ever since with Bisquick.
You put it in pan. Yeah. Another olive oil.
Alright, so this is some flour. If you get too much, like I just did, just scoop it over to the side, because I'll end up using it for something else. You need to flour your hands. This is my flour. I keep just a partial bag for when I'm having to sprinkle cabinets and different things like that. It's not the flour I normally dip out for my cakes and stuff, because I'm always making some type of crust or something. Alright, so again, make sure your hands are flour good, because it is going to be sticky, but that's just it. Flour really good. Put a little flour on top. Put a little flour on top, and you should be able to get it together in a ball of dough. There's just something about adding this butter and everything to the Bisquick mix, and it's just, I've made my mom's recipe, homemade buttermilk biscuits, and these come out actually very well. It's just something about adding that cold fat to the Bisquick instead of just milk, which is what they tell you to add. I used to didn't have a biscuit cutter. I would use a glass, which is what my mom used for years. when I was at Walmart a few years ago, and I had ended up making these biscuits a lot, so I finally just bought me some biscuit cutters. So this is the way it should look. Now it's not sticky. You'll be able to roll it out. And I'm just going to get my rolling pin, which I should have already had out. I just decided to do this instead of waiting till in the morning. And again, you want to flour your baking pan. Okay. Just kind of flour the pan. You don't want to roll them out. It's not like a pie crust. You want to roll to about, I would say 1/2 to 3/4 an inch thick. I've rolled them too thin before, and they haven't come out the way I wanted them. So I can kind of judge now about how, if you can see the thickness they need to be. And you can re-roll the scraps. I'm going to spray this pan really well. See, biscuits come together really quick. Kind of dip your cutter in it. And another thing I learned, if you want your biscuits to rise, like really rise, you need to put them close together in the pan. If you spread them out, they don't rise as much. And even if you do the baked Mary D's or the Pillsbury, they tell you that too.
What's the minimum you could make with this much dough?
This normally makes about 9 big ones. That's what it tells you, but I can usually get about 10, which is what I'm going to get now, 2 per person, because I'm making them for 5 people. So I'm going to get it 10. That's already 4. Because you have to re-roll the scraps. And that's 5. Okay, I'm just going to re-roll that, so I can definitely get out 5 more. Normally I would do a bigger cutting board, but I have a gigantic cutting board, and I don't feel like doing that. I said I was just really not going to make these in the morning, though, so I'm going to go ahead and roll them out, and then all I have to do is bake them. So again, about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch thick.
It's me, if you let Maddie, or you must still have our 2 left. That still leaves 2 left. For Kimberly?
Huh?
For Kimberly?
No. She doesn't want them, so she's going to gift one of them to me.
Oh.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. Kim doesn't have any.
I can get 2 more. She doesn't like them, she told me. She doesn't want them. I'm trying to do a cooking show here, and you guys are talking to me about other things.
I'm just giving this to me.
See, and I just eyeball it. This is exactly enough for 10. Again, roll the scraps about 1/2 inch.
Nature's nectar.
We've had it before. All these is good. It's all natural. Can I have your other one in?
This,
Have you even had your 2? Yes. And of course, when you bake them, you want to butter them on top. I'm going to wrap mine saran wrap, cover them in saran wrap. I'm not going to bake them today.
do you, when you make 10, do you usually have scraps left?
Yes. You should always have your scraps left. real good. I can actually get a small level one, it won't hurt. And what I do when it's like that, just kind of pat it, roll it just a little bit.
You do see that this says Maddie has 0 left, correct?
Yeah.
Look at that packing up stuff. You like all that?
Here, Maddie, can you get that? There you go.
What time would you
We're done.
reheat these?
About 400 for 15 minutes or so, depending on your oven. Bye-bye.